Let's talk about one of the most important, but maybe one of the most overlooked battles of the entire 20th century. This was a moment, a single battle, where the fate of a whole continent was literally hanging in the balance. This is the story of the Battle of Warsaw. So that's a huge question, right? And it is absolutely no exaggeration. To really get the answer, we have to understand how one single desperate fight at the gates of a European capital could have completely changed the world we live in today. Okay, so to get what's going on here, we have to go back in time, right into the chaos just after World War I. Europe was a mess. It was a continent in pieces. These ancient empires had just collapsed. And in all that rubble, new countries were fighting to even exist. I mean, look at how fast this all happened. In 1918, the war ends and boom, three massive empires are just gone. For Poland, a country that literally wasn't even on the map for 123 years, this was an absolute miracle. They were back. But that celebration, well, it didn't last long. Almost immediately, that new independence was threatened, and they were thrown right into a war with Soviet Russia. And this, right here, this is the heart of the whole conflict. On one side, you've got Poland, just fighting for its life, fighting to exist as a nation. And on the other, you have this brand new Soviet Russia, driven by this powerful ideology that they wanted to spread across the entire world. I mean, you can see right away there was just no way these two goals could coexist. And there you have it, straight from Leon Trotsky, one of the main architects of the Soviet state. He just lays it all out. Poland wasn't the end goal. It was the doorway. It was the highway right into the heart of Europe. The plan was simple. Crush Poland, link up with revolutionaries in Germany, and then the whole continent was next. But you know, these huge historical events, they're not just about maps and armies. They're about people. So in the middle of this giant geopolitical storm, let's zoom in on one really personal story that kind of captures what everyone was hoping for and what everyone was afraid of. Think about it. Even with war on the horizon, life keeps going. A young Polish soldier asks the woman he loves the one question that's been asked for centuries. And in a way, it's this incredible act of hope, right? It's a belief in a future that is anything but guaranteed. Their wedding, it's more than just a wedding. It becomes a symbol for that hope. They're not just building a life for themselves. They're like millions of other Poles trying to build a new country, trying to get back to a normal life after so long. And then, of course, comes that heartbreaking goodbye. This promise is so deeply personal, but it's the same promise the nation was making to itself, to survive, to fight, and to come back to a free future. Okay, so that personal promise we just saw, it's about to be put to the ultimate test. The full force of the Soviet Red Army is coming for Poland. And this wasn't some rogue general's idea. Lenin himself confirmed the plan. He saw a Polish-Soviet republic as the first domino that would kick off a chain reaction all across Europe. This wasn't just a war for land, it was a crusade. And you've got to understand just how alone Poland was in all of this. They were stuck in a vice, really. The Red Army is invading from the east, and to the west, you've got Germany, defeated in the war, sure, but still powerful and just watching. Poland had no one to turn to. The situation on the ground was getting desperate. I mean, the Red Army was battle-hardened from its own civil war, and they were just rolling forward. It started to feel like the fall of Warsaw wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. That flicker of hope for a new Poland was about to be snuffed out. So this is it, the breaking point. This is the moment that was so unbelievable, so dramatic, that people would later call it the miracle on the Vistula. Warsaw is getting ready for its final, desperate stand. So how in the world did they turn this around? It wasn't a secret weapon or a bigger army or better tanks. No. The thing that changed everything was intelligence. This was a victory of the mind. And you're not going to believe this. The team that pulled it off was made up of brilliant Polish cryptographers, and some of them were still just university students studying math. They managed to break the Red Army's secret radio codes. And just like that, the Polish command could basically read the enemy's mail. They knew their plans, their troop movements, everything.
So here's how they used that incredible advantage to pull off a masterpiece. The Polish Marshal Pilsudski knew the Soviets were overconfident, so he came up with this insanely risky plan. He intentionally made the defenses around Warsaw look weak to lure the main Soviet army in. And while they were all focused on taking the capital, he was secretly moving his best troops south to deliver a surprise knockout punch on their exposed side.
And this next part is just brilliant and kind of wild. At the most critical moment of the attack, the Soviets had only one radio frequency they could use to coordinate. So, what did the Polish do? Polish radio operators got on that exact same frequency and just started reading the Bible out loud, the book of Genesis. It totally jammed their communications and left the Soviet commanders completely blind and confused.
The trap was set. The plan was in motion, and what happened next would decide the future of Europe for the next 20 years, maybe more. That surprise flank attack was an absolute devastating success. The Red Army, stretched way too thin and caught completely by surprise, just fell apart. This wasn't just a defeat, it was a total rout. That seemingly unstoppable Soviet wave was broken right there, and the immediate threat to the rest of Europe was over. And here you have it, the admission of defeat from the other side. This quote really says it all. It shows you just how big of a disaster this was for the Soviets. Their grand dream of a world revolution, a dream that seemed so close, it was shattered. But after all the dust from this massive historical event settles, we go back to that one personal story. The soldier, he made it, he survived. And his reunion with his wife is this moment of just pure shock and relief. It's like a miniature version of what the entire nation was feeling. He kept his promise, and in a way, so did Poland. Against all the odds, it had kept its promise to itself, the promise of a free and independent future. This small, personal victory is the real, human face of that huge national triumph. And so we're left with this thought. Just think about it for a second. If Warsaw had fallen, if the Red Army had poured into Germany and the rest of Europe back in 1920, how different would the rest of the 20th century have been? It's just a powerful reminder that sometimes the entire course of history can turn on a single moment. Thanks for exploring this incredible story with me.